Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is once again Friday night on the bus. And of course, you know what that means. It's time for that Friday feeling. And as you can see tonight, it is the usual Friday night team. It is myself. And of course, Canada's favourite Tim, the wise man of the bus, the beard of knowledge, Liam Greenlaw. How are you on this fine Friday, my man?
Lovely, mate. Lovely. Looking forward to the game tomorrow. Aye, just good. Nice sunny day, and Canucks are in the playoff. That's my hockey team right now. So we're going to see them after this. That game starts at 5 o'clock. So, aye, that'll be good. Friday afternoon, sunny, so maybe we can watch it outside somewhere.
Yeah, sounds good, man. Sounds like an ideal Friday. Because, of course, you have 8 hours behind us in sunny Vancouver, so you've got your whole day ahead of you. But yes, we are now eagerly counting down to tomorrow, the big one. As Mark said last night on the TNF, tomorrow is the game. Every game from the end of the season is the game. So yeah, tomorrow is the visit of the Jambos, the Jam Tarts, Hearts. They will be in town and not had a good record against them this season, so fans are quite rightly a little bit apprehensive. But hopefully tonight we can calm you all down and bring some positivity to it and a bit of perspective. So yeah, we'll be obviously getting into that. We'll be talking about headlines that were made today. One of the first team players has signed a new deal. Also, season ticket renewals are out. We actually mentioned this last night on the TNF. Mark said, that's imminent. I thought they would have waited till after the Rangers game. No, they didn't. And they've only given season ticket holders a whopping 19 days to get them done. So we will be discussing that. And as, of course, Liam, as an artist, I'll be getting his opinions on the leaked new kit. I say leaked, it very likely is the new kit. I don't think there's any chance this isn't correct, but yeah, I'll be getting the picture up later on, and we'll get Liam's take on it and see how he thinks of it. Although me personally, I think the new kit's actually okay if that's what it's going to be, but it's better than what we've got this season, to be honest. And that wouldn't be hard. Let's be honest, on the kit this season, it wouldn't be too difficult to be better than that one. But we'll get into all that in due course. And before we get there, though, remember, folks, do all that good stuff. Helps us out massively here on the channel. Hit that like button. Helps out in the old algorithms on YouTube. Gets us in more people's recommended videos. Get involved in our comments tonight, as many of you already have. Like, let's see, we've got Graham Tyrrell, we've got Gary Brown, we've got Shell, we've got Jim Dolan, Jim C, David Kelly. Yeah, Gary from San Fran Celtic. Yeah, a lot of the usuals are in already. So yes, feel free to get involved tonight in the comments. We'll bring some of them up as we go along. And of course, hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. If you're new and only just discovered this humble little channel, what keeps in your life a little bit longer, then hit the subscribe button, hit that bell notification. You'll be reminded when we're on the road. And of course, head over to piesports.com and use that code BUS1888 and get 12.5% off your tasty pastry treats. And before that's said and done, I'll be saying that a lot over the next few days as well. As I mentioned last night, my face is going to be all over this channel for the next few days because Russell is on his hollybobs as well. So yeah, I'm last night, tonight, tomorrow, and I might even be on Sunday as well. So I'm going to have to recite that speech a lot at the start of the show. But anyway, let's get into it, Liam. Where should we start? I think we'll start with season ticket renewals. So I've even put it tonight as a poll in the chat as well. So, of course, if you jump into the chat watching us live, there's a wee poll there. If you are a season ticket holder, simple question. Are you going to renew? Yes, no, or undecided? So I'll check the results at the end of the show for that one. But yeah, the season ticket renewals dropped today. Celtic put a wee announcement with a birthday card pish attached message from the manager. Apparently, we had one of those last year as well from Ange Postecoglou because he was all in. The club were all in. We were all in. Remember that? Remember that whole rhetoric? Yeah, we remember it very, very well. But yeah, of course, that dropped today. The usual stuff. I had text message, I had an email alert for the same message, basically saying, get your renewals done. And yeah, it's the 22nd of May we've got until to do it if you're a season ticket holder. Now, in previous years, because I've been a season ticket holder now since 2007, I have known that it's been common that the renewal deadline will be coming up and usually Celtic will go, they extend it by a week, 2 weeks. That seemed to be a thing that happened. But in the last few years, whenever they say what the deadline is, they've usually stuck to it in recent years. So they're not really given as much leeway here. But yeah, there was a point in time, maybe about 5-6 years ago, where you'd be about a week out from it, and then it'd be like, it's been extended by a week. So when they do say 22nd of May, they probably aren't messing around. And it's a bit outrageous because when you think of the timeline here, Liam, we are currently on the 3rd. And traditionally, most people get paid at the end of a month. So for some people, and especially in this environment that we're in right now, cost of living crisis and whatnot, and of course, as you would expect, the prices have gone up. I have seen people today on Twitter saying that their ticket is as much as 700 plus smackaroos it's going to cost them. So to no surprise, it's gone up. A lot of fans are obviously in a bit disarray about that because, one, the investment was not good last season. We've went over it many times. The football, it started okay this season, but that middle of the season in particular, it regressed pretty badly, and there were some absolute shockers. And a lot of fans are like, if we're going to have another year of watching that style of football and allowing Rangers to get this close to us when we really should be pushing far away, a few fans are a bit like, I don't know, Celtic, you need to sell it to us a bit better here. So it's going to be an interesting couple of weeks, but the timing of it, first and foremost, Liam, it's a bit snide to, give them 19 days and say a payday for most people might not even fall within that time. It's a bit of a task, isn't it?
I mean, we talk about being acutely aware on this bus, that's them being acutely unaware of, the actual economic, understanding of just their fan base. I mean, it sounds like a very elite level approach to season tickets, assuming that people just have that sort of money laying around and that you can respond that quick. The only way you can do that is if they have a backlog of people that they have pre-vetted that are better fans or, more paying on time fans of the, it sounds like they're trying to price out some of the fan base and replace them with a much more gentlemanly or elite level fan, because that's unbelievable. And I think that again, it just really reeks of, when you look at Celtic as this family bullshit, and the brand and all that stuff. That's not how you treat supporters that stood by the club during the COVID season, when they got absolutely no value for them whatsoever. And I think there has to be a certain amount of grace within the fan base, that you want to keep it a family environment where it's generational, that fan base is no fly by night and then might move on to hockey or something, like next year if it goes on, if it goes on like this. Yeah, I think it's a really poor way to treat the fan base, and I think they really think, that just either everybody's rolling in money like they are, and or if we lose those fans, they've got a backup list that they've already pre-vetted and generated that would come in, and they would be much more happy to have their happy, clappy, smiling faces in the seats, rather than anybody that might actually challenge them to do their effing jobs.
Well, Graham Tyrrell basically backs up what you said there by saying the club know they have season ticket holders over a barrel, a massive waiting list in the wings waiting to buy. Yeah, Celtic fans, very emotional fan base that we are as well, and it's a case of if there were some fans that go, I'm going to vote with my wallet essentially and not renew, that's fine, but they know that there are so many that are just waiting, because we have to back the club financially, because we know if we don't and allow them to get the league title and get the riches that come with that, then it's like we can't even comprehend that. So it's a point where the Celtic board are very, very very cute in what they're doing. But yeah, I think the timing of it's a bit lousy. And one of the things that's always baffled me for a good few years now is that when they put the renewals out before the season's even ended, I mean, this season is still on a knife edge. Yes, we are in the driving seat. We have got a little bit of just a nose in front right now as we are heading towards the finish line. It's in our hands, and while I am leaning towards it, I'm confident we will get there. It's still very touch and go, and as we've seen this season, this team is very bipolar in its performances. I think it speaks volumes that a lot of fans don't really know what Celtic's going to turn up from game to game. I don't think the manager knows half the time as well. It's just it's a bit of a lottery. It's a very brave strategy, because heaven forbid that this goes really pear-shaped in the next couple of weeks and Rangers end up winning the treble and the season ticket renewals a few days before the Scottish Cup final. If we're going into that final, that renewal deadline is a couple of days before, and they've won the league and they've won the League Cup and they are staring down the barrel of winning a treble. Oh boy, heaven help that Celtic board, because I think they'll have to be putting a wee extension on it at that point. I've got a funny feeling as I've said earlier on, how they don't seem to be having extensions now. I've got a funny feeling that one might happen if that's the case. Hopefully it doesn't come to that. Hopefully we do not even, that we can't even comprehend that happening. But we have to be real. We are still at a point where this is very, very finely balanced right now. We just need to make sure that we don't make any mistakes from now to the end of the season. But yeah, I always find that it's always a really dangerous game putting these things out before the season's over, with things being so close. And also just another point as well, just earlier to what I said, Jim C's came in and said nearly 700 quid for his renewal. His youngest boy is 16, so his youngest boy will be getting concessions one, but 700. I mean, mine's in the lower Jock Steen, 500 something. I've not been on and checked the price yet, but the boy sits next to me, Chris, had said it going up by 20 quid for us in the section I'm in, but it's like 500 something. But I depend on where you're sat in the stadium. They say there's some of them are 700 plus, and it's like, oh God. Maybe there's ones that are even more. Maybe those padded seat ones are even more than that, you know?
Aye. I mean, it's a horrible situation to be in as a Celtic fan, where you get something that you love so much, and as I said, generational. You have families that sit near families that have formed friendships over the years. You hear about people like moving seats and all that, and it's like moving to a different country for some people. And I had season tickets when I lived in Toronto for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and it was funny as well. They treat their fans like shit as well. It's a club that's very similar to ours. Last time they won the Stanley Cup was in May of 1967, and they've got an amazing fan base. I mean, the playoffs come, these guys painting their cars and everything, and yet they do absolutely nothing. Their board is owned, part of the team, they sold off to the Toronto Teachers Pension Board. And so they have to produce a dividend every year. And so rather than investing in players, they're all about figuring out what sort of percentage that they can get, and for the dividends for the teachers and that, because that is their pension. But they just treat their fans abysmally as well. They never do enough to actually get over the line and win a Stanley Cup, because they know that stadium is going to be full every single game. That people in Toronto, like people here in Vancouver and Montreal, they're very sports oriented and they love their team.
Yeah.
And when you get a fan base that preys on that and doesn't have to fulfill any sort of agenda other than just show up and pat themselves in the back, the teams go to waste. And it's funny. I always figured the Leafs would be, the fans are going to turn on them by now. But no, I'm following it from here in Vancouver, and the fans are still turning up and they still got hope and all that. But I know it's just owners taking fans for mugs, and I think that's what we've done as well. And you look at the day, you don't know what you're going to get. All we know is we've got Liam Scales for 4 more years.
Yeah, we'll be getting on to that. Don't you worry. That was an interesting timing, I'll say, of the headline dropping there. That was it's a very typical tactic we've seen from Celtic's admin team behind their social media, where they put out quite a contentious announcement, shall we say, something that's going to divide the fan base. They'll usually throw something in there not far behind, just to kind of hope it doesn't get noticed. But we'll be getting to Liam Scales very, very soon. And Stephen Fleming just pretty much, I assume that Stephen Fleming must be in roughly the same sort of area that I sit of, either the lower Lisbon Lions or the lower Jock Steen, because 579, £20 increase sounds about right. Because I said mine last year was 500 something, and say my mate that sits next to me says they've gone up by 20 quid. So yeah, that's pretty much what my price will be as well. But yeah, some people, it's a lot to lay out at this time of the year. I will renew. I will obviously do it, because what else am I going to do on a Saturday? I've been doing it for that long now. I've been going to games for that long ago. I've seen Gordon Strachan's end of the time. That was quite boring to watch. Tony Mowbray, I had to endure that. I was there for the Ronnie Dyler years, so it's like, I'll be there. I'll be there for it. I'll be renewing it, but I'll need to wait a little while, just because as it turns out, for me personally, my own personal circumstances, I know everyone's is different, but I just happen to have a payday. I actually paid in the middle of the month, which is a bit weird. The company I work for pays in the middle, so it's actually worked out okay for me, but I understand that it's not the same for everybody. But yeah, I think the Celtic boards need to be a bit more, again, reading the room. They haven't done so again, but are we even shocked at that anymore? No, we are not. But yeah, so I'll read out the results later from the poll that I've put in the chat, just asking, if you are a viewer tonight and you are a season ticket holder, do you plan on renewing? And we'll see what comes back from that. So Liam Scales. Let's talk about Liam Scales then, because you mentioned him there. He got a new deal early in the season. I'm not going to back down. I did say early in the season I think he does deserve a new deal, because I'd imagine he was probably on tuppence compared to some of his teammates. He came in at a time where he was put in a position that I don't think anybody thought was going to come. He probably didn't think was going to come. He was obviously stuck at the start of the season, filled in pretty well, I would say. I think because all of us had such low expectations. If he did anything, then he'd be good. It'd be like, oh, he's done it. But I did feel that we got to a point maybe about midway through the season where you started to see, right, this guy's kind of reached his sort of peak here. And with the January window came, you thought, well, maybe we'll look to bring somebody else in. Of course, we didn't. There was a whole fiasco with Lagerbielke being told he can go. Then it's like, no, you need to stay. Nawrocki, injury prone. He obviously got lambasted by the manager in that weird press conference back in about November where he was asked about Nawrocki and Lagerbielke, and he basically said they're not good enough. But yeah, Liam Scales has been a stalwart. Obviously, he dropped out the team recently from an injury, and as soon as he was fit again, he came back in. Didn't have the best of days against Aberdeen in that cup semi-final, but I feel like everyone in the defence that day was dreadful. I mean, the first goal that Majowski scores, I know a lot of fans were quick to point at Liam Scales, but if you actually look, Carter Vickers was maybe more to blame on that one. But the whole defence that day were just a shambles, the way we allowed Aberdeen to cut through us so easily at times. But he has had some good performances and some good moments as well. Overall, from signing a deal, I said early in the season, I think he does at least deserve to get a new deal to at least bring him up to a reasonable pay compared to what some of his other teammates are probably earning. I'm happy for him to stick around as a sort of backup, as an alternative, where, I think he's a solid enough squad player. If he's called upon to come in and do a job, I would prefer him over Stevie Welsh. That's my own personal feeling on it. But I know a few fans are in panic mode already, and they might be proved right by the end of August. They may be. I hope not. But obviously they're thinking right away, is this an indication of what the future holds? Is Celtic's centre-back pairing next season for every game in the starting 11 going to involve Liam Scales? What do you think, Liam?
Well, 4 years tells us right now that they think somehow we're going to be able to make him a better player. Now, I don't know if that's Rodgers right now, because I haven't seen him improve, since he played in Europe. In fact, he's sort of digressed from then. So I'm happy for him, personally and all. I'm sure he's got a young family or whatever, or, his extended family in Ireland and all that. I was super proud of him and that. He's done one thing. He came in and he took an opportunity when it was given to him. But, so did Kuhn at that point and Yang for a wee bit. And then they all seem to regress. And that's what's worrying me right now. And I don't think I would have been bothered if he gave him a 2-year contract. I think 4 years to me, that seems like we're investing a lot more in him. You know that he's going to be around for a while, and it's like, all right, are we thinking that that's going to be our back too? Like we're building the relationship with these two, that we're going to invest in him, because I don't think he's right for CCV, but I'm biased as well too, because I really think he's hindered playing with Greg Taylor, and you can see Greg Taylor's in the frame for both of their goals, and
San Fran Celtic says Scales beside a better left back is worth a look. I do think the two of them seem to bring out the worst in each other, and it's no coincidence that most teams, even SPFL level teams, target the left side of our defence. The two of them together, I think they do bring out the worst in each other. Because we had a game a few weeks ago where we did keep a clean sheet and looked pretty comfortable when Nawrocki played. And it was obviously Greg Taylor's playing at left back. We beat St Mirren, I think, was it 3-0 at Celtic Park, and it was relatively comfortable. But yeah, I say going forward, well, we do talk about Greg Taylor a lot on this show. His name does come up a lot, and we've said many things about him. But I'd like to think that left back and centre backs are definitely things that are on the agenda for the summer window. Because I'd say for me, Scales, as a guy to fill in when there's an injury, I'd rather have him than Stevie Welsh. But yeah, going forward as first team, if he's going to be the permanent one there, because there's always a danger as well that Carter Vickers could get sold as well. I know Carter Vickers had a bit of a abysmal time with injury this season, but when he's on it, he is still one of our most profitable assets, and the board will be more than acutely aware of that. So if the right price is put down in front of them, if you lose him, then this board, can you trust this board to reinvest? And the thing is, though, that also baffles me about the Scales thing is I know some people have talked about, he's like the pet project for Brendan Rodgers now, but something weird happened around about October, November time when I want to say we beat like Kilmarnock or Livingston or something. So it was after a home game, and I was heading up the road, and on the radio, Brendan Rodgers was getting interviewed after it, and Scales had a decent game that day, and he'd been obviously in the team for a good wee while now, and he was keeping it going, and the person interviewing him on Sports Sound had asked about Scales, his forum and whatnot, what have you made of it? And Brendan Rodgers, as we know, let's be honest, he's got a bit of an ego. And they say it's not necessarily a bad thing. Ange had a bit of an ego. You've got to back yourself. You've got to believe in yourself and believe in your ability, especially when you're a football manager. You'd think that Brendan Rodgers would be the type of guy that would go, never doubted him. I've always believed in him. To give him that wee boost as well. But instead, he said, it's the biggest surprise of my managerial career, which I was like, that's a bit. I don't know if Scales is going to make it that way. It's like, cheers, boss. It's like to me, it came across a bit like, I didn't really rate him that much because what was it? At the start of the season, he was way down the pecking order. It just so happened that we had so many injuries that he got himself in there, kept himself in the team. But see, a lot of fans think that Brendan Rodgers has him as a favourite. I don't know if Brendan Rodgers does have him as one of his favourites and would use the term pet project. Because I think that little comment that he made to me is like, I don't know, I feel like Brendan would have been all over that if you're basically, the interviewer's patting him on the back going, you were right to put Liam Scales in the team, weren't you there, Brendan? And you'd think he would be like, I never doubted the boy. I always knew he had the ability. I knew he would make it. But instead he did the opposite and was like, I'm as surprised as you are. So to me, I don't know. That comment didn't sell it to me at all.
I think it's part of this new 2024 revitalised Brendan Rodgers, where he's a bit more humble, he's a bit more earthy and, in tune with the supporters. He's overcompensating. That's what it is. It's like, I've been listening to his press conferences lately, and there's always that, James is a good player, like he's watching it for the seats and he's as surprised as we are. And it's like, wait a minute, we keep talking about, the manager must see something in training, You see guys in the park, they kind of kick their own arse, but he's watching them whipping in out of cones and pylons and stuff, and all of a sudden they're brilliant, And we don't see it. I don't know, the whole Rodgers thing for that was an odd one as well. There's something else he said as well about him practically being out the door at one point as well. And it's just, I'm baffled by a lot of the stuff Rodgers says this year, and well, I'm surprised with the timing of it, that we're doing it in the middle of the run-in, whereas it could have been left till later, that sort of thing. I mean, as you said before, with the season tickets, we don't know if we're getting past Hearts tomorrow or Rangers in the next game. And Rodgers might know, and if we don't, I really don't think Rodgers should be at the club next year if we don't. And so for him, thinking that might be a pet project or something like that, it just shows you, the way we're thinking right now. It's like, well, let's get him tied in and the timing of it. It's almost like, okay, what can we give him? Liam Scales, that will appease the Irish support, and he's one of us. That'll be a good one for the fans, and maybe we can ping a new strip onto that as well. It's just lazy, uncreative thinking for our board once again. It's almost like it's like stereotypers, and just figure that easy to make them happy.
Just like a few months ago, the January window, the way it closed, and I feel like Adam Ida copped a lot of flack because it wasn't really his fault that the way things went, and obviously he came in with like a lot of fans just absolutely fuming at him, and it's like, well, the boys have done it. And same for Liam Scales, like he's had that announcement today. They could easily just held off until the summer because he's going to still be here anyway. You wait till the season's finished and then you just put out a tweet saying that Liam Scales has signed a new deal to 2028, just like they did today. they didn't need to announce that today, right off the back of something that has really annoyed a lot of the fan base with how they've handled it with the season ticket renewals. So it's like, it's odd that it's happening now. I think I tweeted it earlier on, I quote tweeted it and just said that, well, I've got no problem with him getting a deal. He's an okay enough backup. This was only ever going to get one reaction by the timing that they've put this out. And that's exactly it. You look at the replies to it and it's just like fans are furious and say, I know Scales, a lot of you in the chat, he's being very divisive right now. There's some people just going about how hot and cold he is. And yeah, he has had some good moments, no doubt about it. There has been fleeting moments where he has played well, and he's a very, I say he's had a bit of a balanced season so far. Started really well because the expectations were so low for him. But yeah, he's kind of petered out now, but he does still have his moments. But yeah, today I just feel like you have set him up to just be in the firing line here. I was like, you could have just held that off until the end of the season. I don't think anybody would have batted an eyelid. I don't think Liam Scales would have batted, because he knows he's signed the deal, so he knows his future's secure. He doesn't care when you announce it. You would put it out there. So I feel like they've I think it's a good thing that Liam Scales doesn't actually have a Twitter account, because they thought he would have bloody tagged him in the tweet and he would have seen all the abuse that was coming in. Poor guy, because I don't think he's got one. But yeah, I was like, you kind of done the dirty on him there, Celtic. It's like, you could have just held off for a few weeks, couldn't they, Liam?
Oh, yeah, I know, but we don't even have anybody in recruitment right now, so you don't know who's building the team. Was it Rodgers that wanted to do it? Is this a motivation tactic where he figures, okay, this will give him, his play's been declining? Is this a motivational tactic to get him to up his game? And Christ, if that's a motivational tactic you need to win, a double playing with Celtic, then you shouldn't be playing for Celtic. But yeah, it's hard to tell that. I think he's an okay squad player, but he's an okay squad player. I think we definitely need better than Scales. I'm just disappointed I didn't get to see him play left back, because I think he is our recognised backup left back as well, right? Or is that Tony now? Tony Ralston?
I think you're right. I'm pretty sure when he was playing for Shamrock Rovers, I want to say it was, before he played for us, I'm pretty sure when we signed him, he was a left wing back / left back was the position that was always quoted. But yeah, he's not really playing. I think he played, I want to say when he made his debut for Celtic, he came on at Tannadice. I think he scored that day. He got forward and scored a goal. I'm pretty sure he came on at left back there. And I think since Brendan's taken over, no matter how many times we've tried to will it into existence, it's like it just doesn't happen. He just never, ever gets played there at all. And so, as I said earlier on, hope left back's on the agenda in the summer, because right now, as it still stands, we still have one first team left back. So I don't see Alessandro Bernabei making a miraculous return in January from his loan. I know January in the summer from his loan, because I think that one's definitely sealed. But yeah, these are all things that I'm sure when the summer rolls around and that transfer window opens, we'll be doing plenty of shows talking about the many frustrations of a Celtic transfer window. But hopefully, with Mark Lawwell leaving, this is it. Time for change. Celtic surprise us. Ball's in your court. Let's talk about another thing, though, that's came out today, Liam. I know it's not officially came out, but I'm pretty confident that this is going to be the case, because this is usually how it goes. The leaked kit comes out, and it usually comes from a picture of some shop somewhere in the world that's got it on sale early. And yeah, the picture is doing the rounds of the new Celtic kit from Adidas. I've got it here, so let's bring it up on the screen. Liam, as you are an artist, you can give us your artistic impression on it. Here we go. I'll get that comment out of the way so we can see it, and I'll take the banner out of the way. But yeah, there is the new Celtic home kit, it seems. I saw Ryan 118 talking about it earlier in a video. He did verify that is Adidas' new template for the new season, because people are wondering. The thing that stands out to me is the vents at the side. And I was like, that just seems a bit unnecessary. But yeah, he brought up some pictures of like Arsenal's kit for next season. They've got like blue vents down there at the side, so it is an Adidas template for next season. So I think we can take that. But I think overall it's all right. I think it's not too bad. Just see those vents on the side are a bit jarring, but compared to this season's kit, I think it's better. It's definitely better than what we're rocking this season. What about yourself, Liam? What's your first impressions looking at that?
I liked it right away. I liked it because there was no black on it. I like the thickness of the stripes. I like the addition of the Adidas, the going with the staircase logo or whatever, the pyramid one. That looks good in there. The only thing I don't like about it is the Daphlabet logo. I think that's a cheap shite logo that just cheapens our strip. So I would be trying to get mine with the logo. But I mean, as far as it was last year, I didn't like the black last year, and I don't like when they mess about with the the patterns within the hoops. No, unless it's something really good. But whatever they were trying for last year, it just looked reptilian. It looked like a snake skin or something. It was a bit. I know it's supposed to be windows or something, or
yeah,
anyhow,
it's a
but,
window, the pane glass window at Celtic Park. It was based on that, but again, it's one of those niche things where you would have been like to have known that when you looked at it right away. It's like when they did although admittedly, I actually quite liked this kit. Was when New Balance did the pink away kit with the black shorts. I quite liked that, right? But people were like, well, apparently it was to do with the colour of the ticket for the European Cup final in 1967 was that exact shade of pink. But again, it's like, that's very niche. That is a very, very niche reference. I say I quite like that pink one. I didn't like the grey one with the big pink chevron on it that we never, ever, ever wore. That was horrific. But again, that was one of the worst New Balance. But that Adidas kit there, if that's to be true, I think it's okay. I said just a wee bit jarring, those vent things down at the bottom, the dark green, but the way it cuts through the hoops. But otherwise, I think it's okay. It's fine. But overall, I don't think Adidas, for all the hype and all the want and all the wishing, Liam, that we wanted Adidas when we finally got them, I don't think they've really delivered, have they?
I mean, some of the away kits have been no bad. The white on white with all the ghost out kit, I really liked that one, but we've not seen that. Yeah, I thought the training gear would be better, but that's Adidas. I mean, sometimes you peak. I think when we were wanting Adidas, that's when they were good. It was like, all the cool bands were wearing Adidas at the time, like, the Stone Roses, Oasis, and, all that Britpop stuff. They were all wearing Adidas. So you wanted to be the cool kid. And, yeah, I think it's past them now. I think there's other brands out there that are better and doing more exciting thing and making it with better products, whereas sometimes you just get, you just get too old. You can't be the biggest brands forever. And, Adidas has been around for, 60 odd years. So, yeah, I'd like to see us go and do something different, to get a different type of kit, maybe something.
Custori? No, definitely no them. No, please God, no. But I did see also a rumoured away kit as well doing the rounds today. Somebody made the point on Twitter saying, we must be attempt to add a Mida because it's yellow and green, which to me are traditional Celtic away colours. It was yellow with green pinstripes. It could very well be right. That one wasn't an actual physical shirt hanging on a peg. That was like a digital render, which again, when I saw the kit we've got this season, I initially saw it was one of those digital renders, and I was like, that cannot be right. When I saw it, I went, that's got to be a joke, surely. And no, it was actually the real deal, obviously, as we've seen this season. It's usually reptilian. That could very well be a good way to describe it. But yeah, apparently the rumoured away kit is yellow with green pinstripes. Remains to be seen. Although on the subject of kits, a wee bit of fun for the viewers, put in the comments what your all-time favourite Celtic kit is, home or away, whatever one. I'll bring some of them up while we're talking as well. Just some of your favourites along the way, and we'll look out for them. And because yeah, for me, Liam, we'll get yours and mine first. I think for me, iconic is I love the Bumblebee design. I love the real brashness of it, the bright neon and the black. And I know it's a cursed kit because it was, it was associated with the season that we couldn't stop Rangers doing 9, but we did have it as a away kit. You're kind of fuzzy and frozen up a wee bit. Yeah, I can see you. I can see you just fine. And I can hear you.
Hello.
Oh, well, I guess we've lost Liam for a minute, so he'll figure it out eventually. But
just go and come back.
Yeah, you can go out, Liam, and come back in. But yeah, in terms of like my favourite kit, as I was saying there, I love the Bumblebee, and I know it's cursed because of we couldn't stop them doing 9, but of course we did have it for the 10 in a row, stopping them doing the 10 in a row season. But then we brought it back, obviously, for Tony Mowbray, which again, bit of a cursed one. But again, I just love the really bright and brash colours, the neon yellow. So for me, that's always one that stands out. Also, the home kit that went with the Bumblebee, the original one in the 90s, which you can get nowadays. The club sell it as like a remake replica without the Umbro on it. The Tommy Burns, you've got like the thick hoop, thin hoop one. That one is for me always a classic as well, because I guess it's associated with just such a good Celtic football team as well, and just such a shame that they didn't win what they deserved, because they were a fantastic team to watch. The three amigos, Andy, Tom, Simon Donnelly and whatnot in that team, phenomenal. And in recent years, actually, one of my favourites as well was New Balance, the home kit for Brendan's second season that had the gold accents on it. The Daffabet logo was gold. The numbering on the back was gold. I like the one in the Invincible treble season, but I thought the one in the double treble season was a fantastic home kit. I loved that one as well. Brilliant. But Liam, you're back. I don't know how much you caught of it, but I've just reminiscing there about the Bumblebee and the mid-90s home kit, and I was saying about the Daffabet one recently with the gold accents on it. I thought it was a really good one. After that, I think New Balance kind of went off a cliff with their designs. But what about yourself, Liam? What's one that stands out to you?
There was one that I liked. It was Nike, and it was like a Heineken bottle green. I always remember Aidan McGeady wearing it, and it was around about that time, and it was one of the good Nike ones where it was just nice and plain. I think it was a stripe that came down, not stripe, but like a bit of piping or something that came around there, and just simple green and white. I was playing for a team in Toronto that wore those strips that were good, and then our goalie sold them in a pub, and he was high on coke one night.
Oh, Graham Tyrrell's got to go in a black away kit with the tricolour sleeves. That was a good one. And I think Shell also said the Black Magic one from the 03-04 season, black and gold. That was a good one. That was a really good one. Because that's always a good colour scheme, I find. I think black kits in general usually are pretty slick anyway, but I think black with gold is always a good combination. We did it in the Invincible treble season. Our away kit was black and gold as well. So that was a good one, for a doubt. But yeah, a lot of the classics in the 88 Centenary home shirt. Yep, a lot of good ones there. So yeah, Bumblebee was getting a mention as well from a few people. But yeah, say that this is that time of the season again. New kits getting leaked and whatnot. But yes, I'm relatively confident in saying that we will be seeing the team decked out in this next season. Seems to be the leaked picture. So yeah, we'll see in the next few weeks. But I agree as well on Daffabet. That needs to go. It does look like such a cheap sponsor. And yeah, the sooner we can get rid of that, the better. But yeah, now we've covered all of that, Liam. Let's get looking to the game tomorrow. The game, as Mark said last night, capital T, capital H, capital E, the game. Because yeah, Hearts, we've had a bit of a bad time against Hearts this season. Let's be honest, they beat us at Celtic Park. They beat us 2-0. Shanklin scored, and I think it was like Kingsley, the left back, scored a free kick, and then they beat us 2-0, of course, at Tynecastle recently as well. Quite infamous game. A few referee decisions, but contentious, as we've seen them highlighted again this week in that report. But yeah, tomorrow, it's safe to say, Liam, there is no room for error for Celtic. We cannot afford to have another disaster class like we've had against them in the last couple of games.
I don't know if you can hear me right now. Can you, Phil?
I can hear you.
No?
Yes, I can.
Oh, mate, what's going on here?
I think it's a delay, Liam, that's happened. I think that's what it is. I think it's a delay that's...
Yeah, Phil, I might have to pump it up.
Go out and come back in.
Oh, no, I
Go out
think
and come back in.
Yes. Okay. I'll go out and come back in again. See what happens.
Yeah, no worries.
Sorry, man.
No worries at all. It's all right. So yeah, I'll just continue the chat with the actual live chat as well about the game tomorrow. So obviously the big headlines going into tomorrow. Maeda, does he start for you guys in the chat? What do you think? Should they be throwing him in there right away? Should they be eased back into it? Because obviously I know we shouldn't think too far ahead, but hey, we're fans. It's natural for us to think that a little bit too far ahead. So obviously there's a certain other game coming up in a week's time where Maeda could be very crucial. So yeah, do we throw him in tomorrow from the start, or do we look to bring him on? Because obviously James Forresty's done, to say the least. not too bad. Let's be honest there on James Forrest. It's a surprise to many. Here we are. We find ourselves in May. A guy who we gave a testimonial at the start of the season could be the guy that could be the difference to help us win the title. Fair play to him if that's the case. But yeah, what for you guys would you have Maeda in? And Joe Hendry's coming in and saying Greg Taylor's contract cousin cut Williams broadband outside. Yeah, well, a few weeks ago, there was some mysterious work going on outside Williams' flat. There was a show we tried to do where they were cutting up the street outside. So you never know. Maybe this is a fair get. Before we can get to even talk about him tonight, because obviously we're going through the team. They've just got in there and pulled the plug on Liam before he's had a chance. He comes back in. Liam, are we good? Are you okay?
I think we're good now. We've got construction going on outside my window, so
no way.
The last couple of days.
Well, Joe Henry, I was literally reading this comment. Joe Henry saying that's Greg Taylor's contractor cousin cut Williams broadband outside, and I did mention that show we did about a month ago where there was work going on outside, and I was like, I wonder if they've got you, but yeah, you're back. So I was just talking to the chat. I think the first main talking point is Maeda. Is he a start for you tomorrow or one that we bring on? Because it's safe to say that we need him fit and firing for next week. And as I say, I know as fans we shouldn't be looking too far ahead, but we just have to be looking too far ahead at this point because that's what we do as fans. But will Brendan be thinking that?
Depends what the doctors say. If the physical team says, aye, he's good, he's great, he's good to go, I start him, because I think just like any of the other teams that we've been talking about the last couple of weeks, we need to start overrunning these teams from the beginning. You know, none of this like, we'll have good second half and poor first half. We need to have two really good halves of football to beat Hearts tomorrow. You know, and that's so I say you start with your best. You start with your best, and then let's just try and put it out of sight. You know, we've got to start connecting with these balls. We need to get stuff in there. I think Maeda is going to be important for us because it's going to give us a bit more depth on that left side. But my God, that left side, that's the quote that's on the Sugarly Peg. Everyone's going to come down that left side. Okay, we've done nothing to fix it. So how are we going to respond to it? Callum's off. Greg Taylor's off. Skills is off. Hitate's still coming back in. He's hot and cold. Diazen's coming back in for an injury. All right, that's pretty vulnerable side that we know they're already targeting. So that's how we have to respond to it. How are we going to compensate for being so weak on the leg? Can we overpower them through the middle and through the other side where they don't have the option to come down their left? We peg them in the other side. You know, but that means you're going to need somebody like Johnson doing overlapping runs or getting crossing balls into the box, and that doesn't seem to come from that side either, you know. So, I think Maeda is important, but we've got to start with our best, and I think he starts tomorrow if he's fit.
Yeah, well, James Murdoch's saying if you want a fast tempo, it has to be Maeda. I agree. I think we need to get in about them right away. We cannot afford to have a slow, plodding start. As you say there, Liam, this whole one good half, one bad half that we seem to have in us has been way too common this season. Sometimes you get a decent first half and you peter out in the second half, or it's vice versa. But tomorrow it is so crucial that we come out the traps flying, because I can tell you firsthand for being in the stadium, I know it's easy for fans to sit here and say, you know, we know what we need to do and, you know, we need to will the team over the line, but fans do get very anxious very quickly in the stadium. I've seen it enough times this season. I've seen it enough times over the years. A lot of fans will get very, very angsty quite early on in the game after a few misplaced passes. So if we can come at the traps flying tomorrow, get an early goal and really get the place rocking, I would expect us to go on and beat Hearts pretty comfortably. We shouldn't be in a position where we're going into this game with what's on the line and thinking, a bit worried, no Hearts. But sadly, that's just the way things have went this season. It's just one of these weird, I can't even describe at times, because despite a few months ago, we looked completely bereft of ideas and confidence. But the key was, Liam, that we still held in there. There was no point in time during that run where our hand essentially slipped off the trophy. We always had at least one hand on one of the handles, effectively, you know, I thought metaphorically about it. If it was a case of we dropped a significant bit behind and it was completely out of our hands, could have been a different story, but that was the key that we just held in there. There was a few games that looked like they could have been a shaky one, like Motherwell at Fir Park. It was 1 each going into stoppage time. We scored 2 goals. You know, we dug deep late on to get those winners that kept us in there. And then, yeah, we held in there long enough just to see Rangers have a little wobble just at the right time. So now we've put ourselves in a great position. So you'd like to think that with all that and the players knowing what they've got to do, and they are better than these teams are going to be playing, surely, God, there's going to be no more. So they just go out there and get it done tomorrow. It's just a case of we know what we need to do. We know that we're better than these players, this opposition. They shouldn't be spooked by what's happened in the past. They can't change what's happened in the past, those previous 2 games. Tomorrow, it's a clean slate. They just go out there and just make sure that they put hearts to the sword and no daft mistakes. Obviously, Shankland is going to be a worry because he is a goal scorer, he is a poacher, he does get in. And hey, we've seen this week, we're talking about VAR and referee decisions. He knows how to score for the spot, sadly, because he's done that many times this season. So we can't, that's obviously another thing we're going to have to contend with, is obviously being wary. We don't give the referees a chance to give any dodgy decisions against us, because they certainly do love a wee dodgy decision against us. But while you were cut off there, one name I think that we have to talk about, and it's quite astounding that this is where we find ourselves, Liam, in May. A guy who we gave a testimonial at the start of the season could be the guy who is the secret weapon that wins us the title and maybe even a double this season. How did we get here? Fair play to James Forrest. I am delighted for him. I am more than happy for him to prove me wrong. Every time I think James Forrest is written off and he's done, if he's happy to keep coming back and proving me wrong, so be it. If it means Celtic win, I ain't going to complain. It does kind of show, though, where we are regarding recruitment, that this is what we've had to rely on. But say fair play to James. He's been professional about it. He's waited in the wings for his chance. He's known his position in the squad. But when Brendan's turned to him at this time, when he's really needed him, he's delivered last week against Dundee. Brilliant finish on that first goal. That volley is... James Forrest has scored some absolute pearlers over his time at Celtic. Over 100 goals and over 100 assists. And he's had a lot of screamers. Love that volley. I do love a good volley. That was an absolute screamer, the way he connected with that. But yeah, it's such a crucial player. So for me, he's obviously nailed on. If Maeda comes in tomorrow, it's going to be Kuhn, I think, would be the one that drops out, because Forrest cannot drop out at the moment. If we're going to play, if Maeda keeps his place to the end of the season, which you would expect he would, it would have to be him and Forrest. But I guess we need to take a moment just to talk about the recent form of James Forrest, and hopefully, touch wood, it continues tomorrow.
Yeah, that's what I was saying earlier about Rodgers and his double speak was all super humble, outline this year where, James Forrest and all that. But he's making it sound like he just showed up at training. Oh, we've got James Forrest. You've had him all year. And, and he sat him on the bench to persist with Yang and, all sorts of times where James Forrest could have been brung on at the end or that. I don't know. I don't know if you start James Forrest tomorrow. I think
I do.
You'd start him, aye?
James Forrest and Maeda, I would say. If Kuhn starts, James Forrest still keeps his place for me. But Maeda's coming in. It's going to be Kuhn that's dropping out. It's no James Forrest.
Aye. He'll be up against his brother tomorrow, in the same wing.
So he will, actually, yeah. He would actually.
Aye. That'll be interesting then. But yeah, I don't know. I'd see James Forrest as either coming on in the second half, like when they're tired, and then just run at them. You've got them there. Kuhn sort of went off the boil for me. Palmer just doesn't do it for me. I mean, he's just so bloody selfish and self-centered in his approach to football that it does my head in. Yang, Christ, I can't. There's so much stuff I like about Yang, and then I see how easy he gives up. In the latter third there when there's a turnover, the ball's turned over from him, he just doesn't track back at all, and that that annoys me. It annoys everybody because it's cost us goals. Yeah, I mean maybe Forrest is the one to start. Maybe you'll start finding Kyogo as well. Maybe James Forrest can be that outlet. We've not really had anybody that's on the same wavelength as Kyogo the way Jota is. I mean, Maeda doesn't really have it. He's more reaction type thing, but somebody that can actually see the runs, and maybe James has got that maturity tomorrow to sort of use that to our advantage and cut them open early and get Kyogo to score early and just, I don't want them a chance to still be in the game. I think the longer they're still in the game, the more we're likely to have a VAR error or something that pops up like that. So you got to take the game and take the referees and the VAR at the game as well, so that you got a comfortable lead. Even last week, 2-1 against Dundee. I was like, like when you look at some of the handballs we had, especially the ones and the fact there's so many VAR decisions. By the way, I thought that was bollocks. I thought it was going to be at 260, no 26. I mean, how many you could even think just all the. I thought at least half of that would be Connor Goldson handballs, but no, none.
Yeah. The one that surprised me that was on the list was Rangers got one at Almondvale when McCausland took a elaborate dive and it got reviewed and it still was given a penalty. That one wasn't on the list. I was quite surprised not to see that. But I was not, the one that I definitely was not surprised on was a Waters handball.
I thought that would be on as well too.
Yeah, but I think the delay's creeping in again, Liam. But yeah, in terms of, like I say, tomorrow, it's just a case of we have to just get out of the traps flying, just go with them. And of course, another player that is is weird that again we find ourselves in this position because he's a club captain. We shouldn't have to debate this one, but you have to be honest and look at Callum McGregor in terms of like his form this season. So it was obviously overall, even before the injury, we definitely weren't getting the best Callum McGregor that we know we can get. But obviously, since that injury, it's blatantly obvious that he isn't fully fit. But of course, he is the club captain, and we know how good he can be when he's on it. We have got a game coming up against Rangers as well, where he has to. You're going to need
drop out.
Yeah, it's no worries. That's no worries, mate. Right, okay, no problem. I'll wrap it up then with the rest of the chat. I'll wrap it up, man. Because we're almost at an hour anyway, so I'll just finish it up. But yeah, the other talking point for me is obviously Callum McGregor. What do we do about him? In terms of, I think he plays tomorrow because I think we've got to get minutes in the legs. It's obvious that he is lacking match fitness. The only way he's going to get match fitness is by playing in more matches. So for me, I do think he will start. Probably get, I'd say, maybe another hour or so. And then it'll be a case of, we look to bring on Iwata. Hopefully the game is secure at that point. And next week, obviously, he'll be hopefully raring to go for the Rangers game. Because I say we're going to need him on top. We're going to need everybody on top for him next week. But yeah, first and foremost, we have to obviously deal with the Jambos, the pesky Jambos who've been a bit of a problem for us this season. But hopefully that will not be the case tomorrow. So yeah, because Liam's been cut off tonight, because Greg Taylor's obviously up to some sort of hijinks, pulling the cables on him. I'll obviously wrap up the show pretty soon because we're coming up to 53 minutes. So yeah, we're almost at an hour. So yeah, in terms of there's actually Jim C. Not that I want to put any feelings, but the last time that Kevin Clancy refereed a Celtic game was when we get beat by Hearts in December at Celtic Park. Oh dear, the day that Santa got booed. So hopefully that is not a bad omen. But yeah, this is the same Kevin Clancy who, in the eyes of those across the city, is one of us. But I find him to be one of the worst and most infuriating referees whenever we get him. I think he stops the game far too much. I don't think you ever get a game where you're allowed to really let the football flow. Kevin Clancy is one of the most pernickety referees for just stopping everything for any 50-50 foul. He just, whistle blows, free kick, whatever. And we see Celtic Park with the way teams time waste. Guys like Kevin Clancy, he just buys it all the time from these teams. So that's going to be a frustration tomorrow as well. I know, I'm sorry, Jim C. I'm sorry. I only know that because the other week we were talking about the John Beaton thing, why John Beaton has been a referee or involved in our games so much since Tynecastle. And then I began to think, well, when was the last time we had Willie Collum or Kevin Clancy? It's bad enough we keep getting beaten or we get Don Robertson. Seems to be the wee combination that's going on. But I thought the two referees that in Rangers fans' eyes are total Tims, Celtic fans, Collum and Clancy. I was like, when was the last time we had them? And yeah, I looked it up and it was December was the last time we had Clancy. And yeah, it was that game against Hearts when Santa got booed. So yeah, that's hopefully that's not a bad omen. And tomorrow, yeah, we just get the job done. But yeah, before before we go, or I go, obviously thanks to Liam for coming on anyway, before I wrap it up, tell me in the chat then what you think the score will be. I always kind of just go for a very sort of run-of-the-mill 2-0. At this point, I will take any Celtic victory at this stage. It doesn't really matter to me, as long as they get the 3 points. Obviously, I would love it tomorrow if we turn up and absolutely trounce them. And you know, in recent times, we have had some belting games against Hearts at home where we have absolutely trounced them. I can remember one under Brendan, actually. I think it was Brendan's, I want to say the third season, or the one that he left halfway through. Pretty sure we tanked them 5-0 in a game at Celtic Park on the same night. Rangers lost at Kilmarnock on the same night. It was one of those ones where we came back for the January break and Rangers did their usual collapse, it always seemed. But we battered Hearts that night. I think Olsen Edward tore them to pieces. Remember Gary Hooper scoring 5 against them as well. And a 5-0 win on the last day of the season. But yeah, a lot of big scores coming in. We've got 4-0 from James Kennedy, 5-0 from Graham Tyrrell. Pat was saying that Scales is going to score. He's going to celebrate his new deal by scoring. Hey, as long as somebody in a Celtic player puts the ball in the net, that's all I care about. Jim C 4-0. Joe Henry says 5-0. Shell's playing a bit safer, 2-1. Powell 2-0, Patrick McLaughlin 3-1, 2-1, and a 3-1 there from Gary Brown. So all resounding Celtic victories, because that is all that we need at this point. Just keep finding a way, Celtic. And of course, before I go, the last thing I was just going to check was the poll results that I put up at the start. Let's have a look. So obviously I asked in the chat, season ticket renewals, will you be doing them if you are a season ticket holder? So let's see how the voting went. And we have got 52% say yes, 16% have said no, 32% are still undecided at this point in time. So interesting. I say for me personally, I will be renewing, but I'll wait till my next payday, which, say, fortunately for me, does fall in this time period. Obviously, that is not the same. And it's quite common that paydays fall for most people at the end of a month, and you'd like to think that the club would have been acutely aware of that, but no. Reading the room is not something the Celtic board do very, very well. But these are all things that we'll continue talking about over the next few days, I'm sure. So, as I said last night, and I'm the only one on the screen right now, so you need to get used to my face, because, yeah, with Russell on his holidays, I'm pretty much running the channel right now and organising everything for the team. So, yeah, I was on last night on TNF. I'm going on tonight. I'll be doing PMP tomorrow with Terry. It'll be on a bit later than usual, because obviously I'll be at the game. So yeah, when I get back, obviously to come on at the back of 5 would just not be feasible for me. So it'll probably be somewhere like, 7-ish or whatnot. But again, you'll see the link go up. So just obviously jump on it when you see it. And of course, if you haven't done so yet, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell notification to be notified when we are on the road, when that show does go up tomorrow. But yeah, with me and Terry, we'll come on for that. I believe with David's current rota, what he does with the Sunday Blair is every 2 weeks. So I think there might be a Sunday Blair this week. I might pop up on that as well. I don't know at the moment. Play it by ear on that one. And it's essentially just we'll just keep plodding on. Russell, I saw him in the chat last night. He says he'll be looking to be back on the show. Well, he said about 10 days. So by my estimation, he's talking about the PMP for the Rangers game next weekend. So that's probably then. So yeah, for the foreseeable, for the time being, I'll be organising things. I might not necessarily be on every show, but I'll be trying to pull everything together and make sure that shows do go out. So yeah, until then, so until tomorrow, PMP, I will catch you then. For Liam, goodbye from him as well, because he had to get cut off early. As we said, Greg Taylor cut him off, no doubt. And if you're going to the game tomorrow, obviously enjoy it. Hopefully a resounding Celtic victory. Or if you're watching it by any other means, one of those ones, then enjoy it as well. And yeah, hopefully a nice resounding victory for Celtic tomorrow. Please, for the love of God, Celtic, just do it. Because if I'm hosting PMP, nothing scares me more than the idea of doing a live PMP after a bad result. So Celtic, just for me, honestly, please, for the love of God, just get it done tomorrow. And yes, I shall see you tomorrow for that. All the best, folks, and I shall catch you later.